If we have Greek manuscripts with fragments of the Gospel of Thomas, that can be dated to pre-200 AD, then clearly the Gospel of Thomas must be at least that old. But some highly visible minority, the Jesus Seminar, have claimed that it can be dated to 50 to 60 AD, before the canonical Gospels, so we need to see exactly what evidence exists, by which to date the Gospel of Thomas. In other words, do we have any hard evidence, by which to date the Gospel of Thomas so early? The only firm evidence for dating this document is its earliest Greek fragments, which was written no later than about AD 200. The first reference to the document by name occurs no earlier than Hippolytus, who was writing between AD 222 and 235. The author of the Gospel of Thomas shows a decided dependence on the canonical Gospels, demonstrating a later date for its composition than they. The scholarly community is generally, apart from the Jesus Seminar minority, in agreement as to a mid-2nd century date. But how early that Gospel was composed is debated. Although some seek to place its origins in the 1st century, the view that it was actually composed near the middle of the 2nd century, AD 140, is more commonly held. The early daters are all closely associated with two schools: Claremont and Harvard, Hummes of Coaster and Robinson. All of these early daters are either colleagues or students of these, with the exception of Crossan. Richard Hayes, a non-evangelical teaching at Duke, wrote an article demonstrating how the Jesus Seminar did not represent a cross-section or consensus view of non-evangelical scholarship in the corrected Jesus. He called the Seminar's dating of the Gospel of Thomas an extraordinarily early dating, a highly controversial claim, and a shaky element in their methodological foundation. And Blomberg sums it up as, in other words, the document may have first been written as early as about AD 150, but no actual evidence permits us to push the date a century earlier, as the Jesus Seminar does. It should be mentioned that an important, specialist work on the Syrian area, where the Gospel of Thomas was possibly written, argues that Gospel of Thomas is dependent on Tatian's Diatessaron, which would date it after 180 AD. So, we get a range of 150 to 180 AD for its composition. The implication of this, obviously, is that at such a date it cannot be chronologically prior to the canonical Gospels, all of which were in their final form long before this date.